Greetings and welcome to the Health Light. This is Dr. Williams-Singh, acupuncture physician. Today I'm going to do a video on a certain food, but first I thought I'd probably include this in the video. I love history. History enhances my mind, and if you're like me, and you're very inquisitive, you want to know more and more. And that's how I got so involved into herbs, making formulas, and food therapy. I do a long, extensive historical investigation about people. But while you're doing that, certainly you're going to discover different herbs, different methods. The Indian method from India, Chinese TCM, African method. There are so many methods of healing, but it all comes back down to herbs. And I think Hippocrates from Greece, he even said so. What you're looking at is me and a Taino Indian. This Indian, who's a Taino, they were discovered in a place that at that time it was called the Hispaniola. Now you call it Santo Domingo, you call it Haiti, because there's a dividing line. This is the place where it, so to speak, started, where the burst of energy began about making and getting sugar, or planting cane in order to develop and manufacture sugar. There's a lot of history in this particular country. If you care to know more about that, please leave it in the comment description, and I'll be happy to extend my knowledge about how that started with the sugar plantation, and how Queen Isabella and Ferdinand, how they selected this particular place to be the place to begin this tremendous, horrific thing that we know now. I can't even say what it is. This Holocaust called slavery. All right. Again, leave a comment in the description box if you'd like to, in the comment section if you'd like to know more. Today's topic is about the dangerous food. And this is very, very important. In fact, everything I say is very important, but I think this goes unnoticed by a lot of people. The topic is about cassava. In some countries, they call it yucca. Spanish-speaking places, in Jamaica, they do know it as cassava, and they make an item called bami. What I'd like to do is encourage you to send this to as many people as you can think of, because this is very serious. Cassava has a very long history, and it's spread out namely throughout tropical countries, Caribbean countries, Africa, equatorial regions. And I know that those are places where slaves were bought. So I just thought I'd put that together for you. Now, on with more information about cassava. Cassava is considered as poisonous, and when you peel it, you got to peel it very well, and you have to cook it for an extensive period of time. Preparation is key if you want to consume cassava. And it's also mentioned that cassava, when eaten raw, again, it heightens the toxicity and the dangers of eating it. It could attack by your digestive enzymes, and cyanide is what's released in this particular food. It could move up to um, paralyzing conditions, and some people might have allergic reactions and they don't understand why they have it. So keep that in mind. In today's supermarket, you can find this cassava in certain items like chips, flour. In fact, anytime you see tapioca, you're actually consuming cassava, but it's in a different form. It's extremely starchy. So in case if you're considering your weight condition, if you want to overlook the fact that it has high toxicity, it does put on a lot of weight because of the high content of starch. My experience with cassava, I remember very clearly as a child that I saw the older people, and I come from Jamaica, that they would boil the cassava, and then after they boil it, they would use the water to iron clothes. And I thought, if they're doing that with the water from the cassava, it must be it must have a lot of starch. So I put 2 and 2 together, and in my mind, I figured out it is really, really no good. If you're going to boil cassava or yucca, again, it's known by different names, and I will show you a picture of it towards the ending of this video. If you are going to boil that product or that root, because that's what it is, and also utilize it to iron clothes, it must be very high in starch content. So what would that do to your organs? What would that do to your cells? What would that do to your body over time? Those are the things that we need to consider. All right, this is cassava, or in some countries they know it as yucca. Look at how shiny this skin is. This is also a root. What you may find is you may not have it or come across this in this particular form as a root. Some people put it in soups in general, but you could potentially come across it in certain packaged foods. You'll see the word tapioca. That is a constituent of cassava. So, to summarize, cassava has also been listed online as having some potentially vitamin C. That does not make any sense. It has a high degree of toxicity, and it would take time for that toxicity to appear. In some instances, if it's not cooked properly, it could be more dangerous and more detrimental to one's health. Again, if this is your first time coming to this channel, welcome to the Health Light. If you're considering other options other than cassava, there's a whole bunch of videos that I put up regarding different choice foods. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for your loyalty, and spread the word about cassava.